Good morning, folks. I'm going to answer a question before I start this morning, and the question has to do with what's just over my head off to the side, this egg carton up here. Some of you have commented on what's behind me from time to time, and not that I change things very often, but this egg carton has been up there from the beginning, and sometimes, depending on where I've got the phone here, it shows up in the background. And I've been asked several times, what is up with an egg carton on your shelf? Well, it's not a real egg carton. Well, maybe it's a real egg carton, but it's not real eggs in the egg carton. They're called resurrection eggs. I use this as a story time with the kids leading up to Easter. Each egg has an object in it that has something to do with the Easter story. And so as we go through the Lenten season up through Good Friday and Easter, these different eggs are opened up and we discuss what these mean. And on Easter Sunday, there's an empty egg, and that represents the empty tomb. So I've answered that question. So for those of you who are scratching your heads wondering, losing sleep over this, that's what that's all about. I want to talk about love this morning leading up to Mother's Day coming up in a few days. And I'd like to do that in light of what I'm seeing in my lovely wife, as she has I don't know if you call it a privilege, but at least the task of doing homeschooling with her grandson while school is out. And all the papers that she has, and has to organize them by each day, and then has to have sometimes an unwilling student do his homework for the day. And the patience that she has is amazing. Sometimes she's at wit's end. There's that kind of thing that comes out. But for the most part, she's doing a lovely job with that. I know she can't wait till school is over. She is so grateful for teachers. Anyway, love. There's I believe, kind of an agape love in my wife for her grandson and her other grandkids as well. But it shows up, I think, during times like these, even though she's stretched. I think about that, and I also think about the coronavirus pandemic has caused us to have to be together more often. Husbands and wives and families are learning how to, I think, reintroduce themselves to each other and learn how to live with each other in a context different than it used to be. And I think that too stretches people sometimes, maybe shows some of our weaknesses. But it's at times like these that we need to have that kind of an agape love for the ones who God has given us to care for. So I'm going to deal with that this morning a little bit and let you go. 1 Corinthians 13, I'd like to read a few verses from that text. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. This is perfect love. This is agape love. This is a love that God has for each and every one of us. You know, God loves us in spite of our impatience, loves us in spite of the stupid things that we do, loves us in spite of our indifference and our disobedience and our not wanting to do what he wants us to do. He loves us, period. It doesn't mean that we are not disciplined for those things that we do that we shouldn't do, or those things we don't do that we should do. But God's agape love is unconditional. He loves us in spite of all that. I see how my wife deals with our grandson, and she loves him dearly in spite of the fact that sometimes he just drags his feet and doesn't do what he wants to do and whines about this and whines about that when it comes to homework. But I see a bit of this agape kind of love there. I hope you see that kind of agape love in your home with your spouses. You know, we can't truly practice agape love in its fullness unless we know the one who is agape love. God who loved us in spite of ourselves, God who loved us and gave his life for us through Jesus Christ on the cross at Calvary. He loves us in spite of ourselves. And this kind of love he shows us is a love that is patient. A love that is patient. And boy, don't we need some of that. A love that is kind, it doesn't envy, it's not boastful, it's not proud, it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. How patient God is with us. Keeps no record of wrongs. How often do you and I keep a record of wrongs? I remember when you did that last week, or what you did last night I didn't appreciate, or whatever the case might be. This kind of love says, look, the past is the past. It's forgiven, it's gone. Let's go from this point forward. God loves us like that. And I think to some degree in my own life, I experienced that kind of love as best she could in my mother, in my father as well. But this is Mother's Day coming up. I experienced that kind of love from my mom, who always set aside her own desires and her own needs for me. Just like God set aside his glory to come to earth as a babe in Bethlehem and to live a life that ended in torture and in humiliation on the cross at Calvary, because he wanted to ultimately show us the fullness of his love for us. God loves us that much. That is agape love. That's different than the love this world talks about, a love that is conditioned upon how you respond to me, a love that is conditioned upon how things actually end up going. God's love is unconditional. And we see it in 1 Corinthians 13. This is how we can love others if we have that agape love. And I pray this morning that you have that agape love and you're working on that. We're a working process, folks. And if we allow God to work in our lives, if we read more about his love and his word for us, and if we allow his Spirit to take control in our lives, we can also share with others that kind of an agape love, even when we're tested to the fullest, like a grandkid that doesn't want to do his homework, or a spouse that is annoying us at home because we're seeing too much of them during this time, and maybe we'd want to see a little bit less of them. That's not my case. I'd like to see my wife 24/7, but fortunately, for her sake, I come to the office from time to time and give her a break. Anyway, I love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Sunday. And do give your mother a virtual hug at least, and tell them that you love them. They're not perfect, but God works in a wonderful way through our mothers, and we're grateful. Thank you.